hijacked, not by a virus, not by a disease, but by forces that operate in the unseen, forces that siphon your energy, twist your emotions, and scatter your spirit to the winds, until you look in the mirror and the person staring back is a ghost of who you once were. That exhaustion, that sleep can't touch, that fear with no name, that feeling of being utterly untethered, floating in a sea of other people's pain. I see you, because I have been that ghost. And I am here to tell you, with every fiber of my being, you can take it back. This isn't a theory. This is a reclamation, a somatic, sacred rebellion for every empath who has absorbed too much, for every heyoka who has mirrored too brightly, for every sensitive soul shattered by illness, abuse, and the invisible violence of this world. Your body is waiting for you to come home. Your soul is begging you to remember your power. And the very earth beneath you is rising up to meet you, to anchor you, to give you a foundation so solid that no storm can ever uproot you again. Step out of the ghost story. Step into your sovereignty. This is your invitation to ground, not just to feel better, but to become unshakable. Breathe with me now. Feel that? That's the first thread, the first pulse of freedom. Let's begin. I'm mystical illuminator, reaching out heart to heart, because I recognize that spark in you, the one that illuminates shadows but can leave you adrift. As sensitives, we don't just experience life, we embody it, and sometimes that embodiment feels shaky, pulled by others' pain, illness, or chaos. I'll be vulnerable. Since last summer, mononucleosis has drained my energy, compounded by bronchitis episodes that stirred deep fear and weakened my vitality. Years of narcissistic abuse, stalking, psychological violence, and violation scattered my foundation and trust, leaving me unmoored. As an empath and heyoka, I absorbed it all, carrying an invisible backpack of stones, memories and energies not fully mine, making fatigue a constant companion. So here's the pivot. My videos are now 10 to 15 minutes for a while. Why? Recovery is sacred. Mono, bronchitis, and trauma all deplete energy. Pushing long content would dishonor the healing I need. Slowing down is reverence. Rebuilding reserves, honoring boundaries, and showing that true power lies in pausing. Shorter sessions nurture without draining, letting us both integrate gently and co-create resilience, one grounded step at a time. Today, somatic grounding awaits, its ancient roots in shamanic, Ayurvedic, spiritual, and religious beliefs, plus insights from psychology, trauma healing, and medicine. Why it's vital for sensitives like us recovering from trauma and sickness, with practices to anchor you back. Root down with me. Feel the earth rise to meet you. Let's ground deeply, directly to you, empaths and heyokas who feel the earth's pulse. Somatic grounding is your anchor in the storm, a body-focused art that reconnects us to stability when trauma or illness has scattered our essence. We sensitives often live in the upper realms, intuition, emotions, visions, leaving our lower bodies neglected, leading to that floaty, ungrounded haze where we feel disconnected, almost ethereal, but in a disempowering way. Abuse might leave you dissociated, as if your spirit has partially fled your form, stalking hypervigilant and uprooted, scanning horizons instead of feeling the soil. Illnesses like mono or bronchitis, weakening your base, turning your legs to jelly and your core to instability. Somatic practices, rooted in therapies like somatic experiencing by Peter Levine, use sensation and movement to rebuild safety from the ground up. literally tracking bodily cues to discharge frozen energy and restore equilibrium. It's for heyokas, who need firm footing to mirror wisely without losing themselves in the reflection, and empaths, who must discharge absorbed energies to stand tall, preventing the buildup that leads to burnout or physical manifestation of emotional pain. But hold space, my mystics. Let's dive deeper into why grounding resonates so profoundly for us, exploring its multifaceted roots with more nuance, historical layers, and practical ties to our experiences. Grounding isn't modern jargon. It's forged in shamanic, Ayurvedic, spiritual, and religious fires, bolstered by psychology, trauma healing, and medicine's truths. As feelers attuned to the cosmos, you know grounding claims our place in the web of life, weaving stability from ancient knowing that speaks to our soul's memory. Starting with shamanic traditions, which span continents and eras, grounding echoes rituals where healers root into the earth for power. Indigenous shamans in Siberian, African, or Amazonian lineages visualize roots from feet into soil during ceremonies, discharging imbalances and retrieving soul fragments lost to trauma, a concept called soul retrieval, where parts of the self fragment under shock, much like the dissociation from narcissistic abuse or the energy drain of mono. For empaths overwhelmed by absorbed negativity, this is akin to Native American practices anchoring to nature through sweat lodges or vision quests, where shaking and movement release intrusions, foreign energies like those from stalking or doxing, restoring harmony and preventing the spiritual illness that mirrors physical bronchitis. Historically, shamans viewed the body as a microcosm of the earth, so grounding heals by aligning with natural cycles, helping heyokas maintain their trickster balance without tipping into chaos. In my journey, invoking this has felt like calling back scattered pieces from years of psychological violence, piecing my energy back into wholeness. Ayurvedically, from India's 5,000-year-old Vedas, grounding balances kapha's earth element through rituals like abhyanga, self-oil massage with warming oils like sesame to nourish tissues, or walking barefoot on grass, pacifying Vata's windy, erratic nature that flares in trauma-induced anxiety or illness fatigue. Heyokas incorporate grounding foods like root vegetables, carrots, beets, or heavy grains to combat the airy disconnection from being followed, while Ayurveda prescribes routines like dinacharya, daily rhythms, to rebuild oyas, the vital essence depleted by mono or bronchitis. This system sees imbalance as blocked prana, so grounding opens channels, preventing diseases from manifesting. For us, it's a preventive shield against empathic overload, and in practice, oiling my feet before bed has anchored me during restless nights of trauma flashbacks. Spiritually, grounding is a divine claiming across paths. In Druidic Celtic traditions, it's hugging trees to draw Earth's chi, or in chakra work from yogic spirituality, activating the Muladhara, root chakra, with red visualizations to foster security and survival instincts eroded by abuse. This quiets the mental fog for clarity, helping sensitives discern their energy from others.
In the beginning,
religiously,
God created the heaven and
it's
the earth.
biblical earthing
The Lord God
in Genesis,
formed man of the
walking
dust
with
of the
God
ground,
on sacred ground,
breathed into
or
his
in
nostrils
Hinduism's
the breath of
Bhumi
life.
Puja, honoring Mother
Man
Earth,
became
or Islamic prostrations in prayer that physically connect forehead to soil, fostering humility and peace amid psychological violence. For religious empaths, it's invoking divine protection through embodied ritual, turning the body into a temple resilient to trauma. Psychologically, grounding techniques like 5-4-3-2-1 sensory focus, name 5 things you see, 4 you touch, etc., regulate arousal, interrupting anxiety loops or dissociation in cognitive behavioral therapy, backed by studies showing reduced cortisol in mindfulness practices. In trauma healing, it draws from polyvagal theory by Stephen Porges, where grounding stimulates the vagus nerve to shift from fight-flight-freeze to social engagement, essential for releasing the freeze state from being filmed or stalked, as seen in EMDR or sensorimotor psychotherapy, where body awareness processes unresolved memories. Medically, earthing, direct skin contact with earth, reduces inflammation via electron transfer, eases chronic pain, improves sleep by syncing circadian rhythms, and supports recovery from illnesses like mono by lowering oxidative stress. Studies show decreased white blood cell counts and faster wound healing, making it a complementary therapy for bronchitis recovery or trauma-induced somatic symptoms. These truths root us deeply, blending ancient intuition with evidence-based healing, empowering us to transform disconnection into embodied strength. Join me in these exercises, guided with care and depth, slow paces, longer pauses, and variations, because I honor your sensitivity and the layers we carry. First, feet grounding, a simple yet profound somatic start with added layers for depth. Stand or sit, pressing your feet into the floor. Feel the coolness, the texture, like connecting to Mother Earth's embrace. Wiggle your toes, awakening the roots of your being, and notice any resistance, perhaps from stored fear. Walk slowly in place, each step deliberate. Heel, ball, toe. Add a variation, stamp gently to awaken earth energy, or if indoors, imagine walking on forest soil. Visualize energy flowing up from the ground, countering the disconnection from doxing or being followed. While for empaths, sense any foreign energies draining downward like water through roots. For illness, it stabilizes wobbly energy, rebuilding from the base up. Heyokas, use this to center your mirroring, turning chaos into steady reflection. Breathe into each step. Feel the support. If fatigue arises, soften and receive. Breathe into each step. Feel the support. If fatigue arises, soften and receive. Breathe into each step. Feel the support. If fatigue arises, soften and receive. Next, gentle shaking, a somatic release drawn from nature's wisdom, like animals trembling off stress after a chase, which Levine notes completes the fight-flight cycle. Start with your hands. Shake them softly, letting vibrations travel up arms, then legs, torso, vary intensity. Begin subtle for fatigue, build if energy allows, or focus on one limb if overwhelmed. This discharges trapped trauma energies, the freeze from psychological violence, the tension from bronchitis inflammation that tightens muscles like armor. For us feelers, it's liberating. Shake out the stalking's shadows, the abuse's grip, imagining dark residues flying off like dust. Add a vocal element, Hum or tone low notes to amplify vibration, drawing from shamanic chanting. In my experience, this has released the mono-induced heaviness in my limbs, layer by layer. Feel the tingles. That's aliveness returning. If emotions surface, anger, grief, let them shake free, too, without judgment. Lastly, the self-hug hold, a nurturing somatic cocoon with extensions for deeper integration. Cross your arms over your chest, gently squeeze, like wrapping yourself in wings of protection, evoking Ayurvedic self-abhyanga's warmth. Rock side to side, softly, breathing into the hold. Extend by adding gentle pats on your arms, simulating comforting touch to rewire touch-starved neural pathways from isolation or abuse. This rebuilds internal safety for empaths bombarded by external vibes, and Heyokas weary from reflection, countering the talked-down-to erosion of self-worth. Visualize a shield forming, repelling illness, echoes, and trauma residues, or layer in a mantra, I am rooted, I am safe. For medical depth, this activates oxytocin release, reducing stress hormones. Rock with the rhythm of your heart. Feel the warmth spreading? That's self-love grounding you, cell by cell. If old pains stir, perhaps a memory of being filmed, whisper, I am safe, I am here, I release you. Precious ones, if intensity builds, return to your feet. This is gentle reclamation, honoring your pace. Wrapping our grounding circle, know this. Somatic practices are your sacred tools, empaths and Heyokas, for rebuilding after trauma and sickness have shaken your foundations. We've delved deep today into ancient wisdoms, scientific validations, and embodied exercises to empower your return to solidity. In choosing shorter videos and a slower rhythm, I'm embodying the grounding we crave, inviting you to root deeply too, to honor your body's wisdom as the ultimate guide. Integrate these daily, vary them as your energy shifts, and watch how they fortify your spirit, amplify your mystical gifts, and transform absorbed pain into resilient power. You're chosen to alchemize shadows into light, to heal not just yourself, but the collective. If this anchored you profoundly, I'd love for you to support the journey by subscribing and sharing it with a fellow soul who might find comfort here. For those who feel called to go deeper, you'll find more guided meditations and spiritual cheat sheets over on my Patreon, and await our next on daily somatic routines for sustained recovery. For now, stand tall, guard your roots, and let your light bloom from solid, sacred ground. You are held. Always stay lit.